First place I went over there, I was at Barber's Point, which is on the other side, the southern side of that.
Give me like the year and why you were there and a few things.
1943, and I was at Barber's Point doing advanced, what they called advanced operational training for the Navy, and that was our last stop. No, we went from there, Barber's Point was Oahu, and went there down to Hilo, which is on the big island of Hawaii, and stayed there, I think, 2 months before we went to the Philippines. So we're on our way to the Pacific. And from there, at Barber's Point, we were flying, doing all the schedule type things for training, and so we had a lot of time to do what we pleased, just flying. And so I would go over the row of mountains there, which you can see on an island of Hawaii. There's a big ridge runs down there, and the Navy base is on the north side there. And I'd go over there and try to stir up some airplanes or people flying to get somebody to fly with or play with or flying or what, you know. So I'd gone over there this day and found 2 SNJs that were dogfighting or just fun flying together at fairly low altitude. I think they were about 5,000, which is pretty low for what I was fixing to do.
What were you flying?
I was flying F6.
Okay.
And the SNJ is, of course, a slower airplane, and will do all its acrobatic maneuvers, rolls and loops, much slower. And so I saw these 2 guys doing everything I wanted to do, so I just slid over and throttled back and fell in behind them. They were tail chasing one behind the other, so I just slid behind them and slowed down and put the flaps down on the F6. Of course, the F6 blow down flaps, meaning they're spring loaded, I guess they are. I don't know if it's a spring or not, but as you slow down past 170, they go down. If you push up, speed up above, they blow up and they stay up. So I slowed down behind them, and the flaps came down, and I just stayed in with them. And they were doing all kinds of things, and I do what they were doing. I kept seeing them looking back at me, because I'm sure they didn't think an F6 could stay with them. They were so slow. But I was watching airspeed while they were looping and going over. I was getting down in the neighborhood of 70 and 60 even at the top of the loop, and the F6 stalls at 70. So I was just floating, just falling around there, and I had to work the rudder to keep from falling off on a wing there, but I stayed with them.
So it was a follow the leader loop that you were in the back of it?
Tail chasing is called.
Yeah.
Follow the leader, that's exactly what it is. It's a fun game, but it gets a lot of people in trouble. One of the worst examples is in post-war times in Navy Reserve in the Chesapeake Bay. I don't know what Navy station they came from, but there were some F-8s. I believe there were either 7 or 8 of them. I don't remember the story exactly now. That were tail chasing, and it was Chesapeake Bay is notorious for being gray visibility, very poor visibility, fuzzy, and it was a very fuzzy day, and they would chase out over the water, over the bay, and the first F-8 come out of some maneuver, I don't know what he was doing, straight into the water, just straight in, and the other, all 7 or 8, how many, went boom, 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 right behind. They all watch the other. That's what you do when you're tail chasing. You should look around and protect yourself, but they don't generally. In this case, they didn't at all, and all, call it 8 of them, but 8 F-8s, boom, right into the water. Amazing how they didn't protect themselves or watch out or whatever, but the great conditions and getting excited about tail chasing produces that sort of thing. Thunderbirds did that one time in Nevada. They did a big loop, and the last guy pancaked around the ground. The others missed the ground, and he was following leader so close he wouldn't move. He just went right in the ground and missed, hit the ground. The others went on, killed him. And at Navy Atlanta, in the reserve, when I was there flying F-6s, one day there were 5 F-6s, just individuals from around the county flying in the reserve. In those days there was no discipline at all. Right after the war, you could go over there and fly anytime you wanted to. And they'd gone, some of them gone over there and flying, and they were flying together, and they, make a long story short, they got into all kind of trouble. I won't even try to go into detail of that. It's just engines, so I don't have to fall at each other. And they wrecked, there were 5 of them, I believe, maybe 6, and they wrecked all but one. One of them didn't crash. He saw what had happened to the others gradually. It's happened over a couple hour period. They all crashed, and this one guy had seen or heard on the radio what was going on, and he finally just departed the area and went way off and called back to the tower and told him he was jumping. He jumped out of the airplane and left it. He was scared to even try to land after all that. It was the darndest thing I ever heard. So tail chasing will get, I have to say, honestly, dumb, stupid pilots in trouble anytime. In flying, particularly in any game like tail chasing or any formation flying, well, bombers in Germany and all that, when there are a bunch of airplanes around you, you got to look out for yourself. You cannot depend on anybody else to look out for you.
So on this Barber's Point thing, you were behind these SNJs.
Yeah, okay, and then get to the cable thing. They finally broke off and started home, and I turned around and went back home, which was right straight over that hill. And so just for fun, I just eased on down low, and I was pretty dumb and young in those days myself. And I got down low over the trees, and saw that big row of hills up here, and with my 2,000 horsepower, I knew how to handle this, had to have fun.
How old were you?
Right up to the bottom of the slope, as far as fast as you can go, and you see if you can go up the slope. I've gotten in trouble more than once doing that. And so this time I had, the hill wasn't that high, I was going to make it over the hill all right. But as I was aiming as I approached this hill line, there was a cloud line that was right on top of the hills. The top of the hill was in the clouds, but there were occasional gaps that you could see through, so I was headed to one of those. But it wasn't very big. It was maybe a couple hundred feet wide. That's all, just a little place up there like that. And I was headed right for it. And I got close enough to see a cable. That's how, I can't tell you how close that was, but it was much too close. And I was going up that hill at probably a 30 or 35 degree angle, I guess, and the airspeed was getting pretty slow by then. I was probably down around 150 or something like that, and I got just from that crack in the clouds there, and I saw this cable hanging down. I knew immediately it was a balloon. They had a lot of those around the way that were anchored by cables, and the choice, the situation at the moment is, what are you going to do? If the balloon's right above that in the clouds, if I pull up the cable, I'll hit the balloon or the cable. I didn't want to do that. So I just tightened up on it real tight and pulled all the way over, even at that speed. I don't remember what it was, somewhere around 150, pulled right over. And if you pull too hard, you slow down. You slow your speed. You can't G-load where I had to drag and slows your speed fast. So I had to delegate back. I had to get turned around before I got to that balloon, and yet I couldn't lose enough speed not to get over the top.
The cable you saw was holding the balloon?
Yeah.
It was vertical?
It was vertical, yeah.
Okay.
Just hanging between.
It wasn't a cable that went between the peaks?
No, it was vertical like that, and I could have room to go by it on the side. And so I pulled it back over and went all the way over. Fortunately, I went all the way over, came out the other side upside down, but out of the clouds and rolled out, no problem. That was the end of it, no problem, because then I pulled up and went all up over the clouds and went home. But just for the moment there, just by stupidity to get myself in that situation, I was slow and flew into a corner, you might say. I couldn't get out any other way, so I just had to pull back and go over.
Wow. I bet your heart was beating after that one.
I'll bet it was. I don't know, but it was one of those times. I had quite a few, talking about military flying, I had quite a few occasions when I can look back now and say I was just one of the fortunate, young, stupid fellows in those days doing anything we could with an airplane, getting in danger left and right.
How old were you when you were at Barber Point? 20?
21.
21.
Mm-hmm. That was 1943.
Yeah.
And looking at all those things, and that was certainly one of them. How many things? Just for the kicks, for the fun of it.
Yeah.
It's like Richard Bong flying under the San Francisco Bridge. You remember his story?
Mm-hmm.
And so many stories, all the military stories, really, everybody did it.
Yeah.
Something, stupid things.
Yeah.